Hello, fellow bow hunters. Clint here from Ultimaider and Outdoors. Today I'm going to do a review on a bunch of products that I purchased brand new here in 2023. I ran them through the archery season, put them through the ringer, and today I'm going to do a full review on all of these particular products. I'm going to give you my unbiased review, my ratings on these particular items, so that way you can make an informed decision on whether or not you feel these are products that you can purchase maybe for 2024 season, or if you're like me and still have an open bow tag, utilize for the rest of the late archery season. Just so you know, I did get a nice buck with the gun, and I still happen to have a open archery tag, and I'm going to be doing a lot of late season bow hunting. Without further ado, let's get started. Real quick, fellow bow hunters, just so you know, the sponsors of this particular video is you folks at home. So please hit that like and subscribe button. Just to give you guys some feedback, I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor do I ever want to be sponsored by any company. So I am relying on you folks to help keep this channel going at the rate that it is, and it's been going actually very good. With that being said, no sponsors ever, because I don't ever want to be under the jurisdiction and be told that I have to like something, promote something, say this is a particular good product, whatever it might be. Today's rating system is going to go off of a numerical system of 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0 being the worst. And I'm going to give it a number 7 if it meets my expectations. If it's below number 7, it means that it's still a good product if it's 6 and 5, but it falls a little bit short of expectations. The first product I want to talk about that I got for this season was the LaCrosse uninsulated boots. There is a little bit of a lining in there. I was kind of impressed by this particular component when I got the boot. One of the reasons I bought this boot, I got them on clearance actually in February, I believe it was, February, March of this year. And I paid, I think, $80 or $85 for an uninsulated LaCrosse boot. I couldn't pass it up. And I am normally a muck guy. I wear the Muck Arctic Pros for super cold weather, bow hunting, and ice fishing as well. And it was just time to upgrade my uninsulated boots for a little bit warmer weather, or if I'm out checking trail cameras, setting up mock scrapes, whatever it might be. Now, the previous boot that I utilized was a Muck Edgewater boot. I want to show you that boot right now. So as you can tell, this boot's been put through the ringer. And one of the things I didn't like about this particular boot was the grips on it. So I'm going to put it up here, and they're pretty smooth. And yes, I've worn them a lot. But, you know, I slipped down some hills multiple times with these particular boots. The other thing is, Muck boots, one of the reasons I like them is that I was able to easily get them on and off just because they have a little bit of a wider ankle. LaCrosse boots, when I used to try them on in the store, one of the things I didn't care for was this narrower ankle. But with that being said, it really keeps that boot close to your foot. And it really makes it almost seem a little bit more, if you want to call it like the boot's part of you, I guess is the best way to put it. The other thing is that it has this ability to open up, especially if you have a bigger calf muscle, or to close it a little bit tighter. That was a nice, neat feature on this boot. It came in this mossy oak bottomland. And I got some people actually say, where did you get these particular boots from? I don't even remember. So I apologize for that component. I just know that I got a great price on them. One of the things, though, that I really liked about this boot is I liked the grip on this boot. And what I mean by that, if you look at it, you can tell that it's aggressive enough. It's not as slick as the Muck boot that I have here. But with that being said, where I hunt, I have a lot of clay areas. And I've had boots in the past. They have that real aggressive deep grip. And you get that clay and it gets stuck on the bottom of that boot. And then you get up into your stand, or in my case, my mobile system. And when you're up there, that dries. And all of a sudden, as the day is going on, you get this clay or dry mud falling from your boot, making noise. Sometimes you're not even moving and it just dries up, falls off your boot. This boot really did a good job of not catching a lot of that mud. Yes, it would still catch a little bit, but it just had that perfect grip style. So for me, value-wise, rating I would give this boot, especially what I paid for it, I would give it an 8 out of 10. The next product I want to talk about is the Ultimaider. Now this particular product here is essentially made to go around the tree, wrap around the tree, bring this particular thing down, lever down, place your bow on here. You can also place other products. It's very well made. And then you got these 3 hooks that come off and they can slide around. Very simple product, but at the same time, if you hunt public land, this to me is numero uno, especially if you can't screw into the tree. This thing is super light, super easy to use. That blaze orange really stands out in the dark even, just because there's that contrast of color as you're putting it up. It's got aluminum, not plastic or cheap plastic, buckle if you want to call it that. Not quite sure what the official terminology of this would be. But this particular product, if I had to rate it 0 to 10, 10 being the best, I would give it a 9, and that's the Ultimaider. The next particular product is this electric hand warmer called Carousel. Now, I actually won this in a banquet. I always utilize the disposable hand warmers, you know, and from my experience, whether it's electric socks, electric gloves, heated vest that I will utilize, a lot of that stuff that's electric doesn't ever get real hot using rechargeable batteries. And this is, you know, you recharge this on a USB port and this thing actually gets hot. And I mean hot, where I've actually had to pull my hand away a few times. But anyways, this little guy here, you just hit the buttons. Got 3 settings. When it is on all 3, the highest heat, the max I get out of this is about 2.5 to 3 hours. So this is something you have to be careful with if you put it on the super highest heat. If I go to the medium level, I'm getting approximately 3.5 to 4 hours. And then the lowest level, 6 hours. So it is a really nice little product to have. Just keep that hand warm, especially that release hand when you're bow hunting. I would give this product a 9 out of 10. The only thing that would make it a 10 out of 10 is on the highest setting. If you could get it past 2.5 hours, 3.5, even 4 hours would be ideal. Speaking of warm hands, these gloves here, the Max Grips, amazing glove for the price. Now, these particular gloves, I actually ended up picking up for ice fishing at around that February time frame, because my other gloves I lost somewhere on the ice. And the one thing I really like about these gloves is they are warm top, side, and bottom. The other thing is they're very form-fitting, and they have this grip on here, and that I really, really like for carrying that metal stand in the morning, just that walk in the morning. Now, the thing that I really do like about these is that they are only $12. You can order them off of Amazon. Here in Wisconsin, we have Fleet Farm. There's also Blaine's Farm and Fleet. And for the price, for $12, I don't think you can really beat these particular gloves. And they're just my glove that I carry with. If I lost it, not a big deal. Like I said, only 12 bucks. The one thing that I really don't care for is that when you get these gloves, is they have a vinyl smell to them. So when I got these, I put them in my ozone bag, hit them with a shot of ozone. That seemed to reduce the scent. And then I would also spray a particular scent killer on them a couple of times. Now, with that being said, rating wise, I would give these an 8 out of 10. The reason I give them 8 out of 10 is because the price, 12 bucks for a great pair of gloves, but that vinyl smell, not a really big fan of that, you know. And the other thing is, how long are they going to last? They should last a while. This will probably, you know, break down and get ratty over time. They're also subject to catching burdocks, so on and so forth on the backside here. So that's why I'm giving them an 8 out of 10. Once again, 7 out of 10 meets my expectations. 8 out of 10 is a hair above that. The next product is this camera arm that I got off of Etsy. I really like the design of it. It is super lightweight. Everything made sense when I looked it up on Etsy. The only thing is there was one reviewer on it that mentioned that it bounced a lot. Meaning when you had the camera on it, anytime you move that camera, there would be an after bounce with it. And he was correct. When I utilized this thing, it just didn't lock tight against the tree. It always seemed like it wanted to move, especially when I moved the camera arm. And then whenever I moved that camera arm, I let go. It had a lot of after bounce to it. The current camera arm I have is a 4th Arrow camera arm. It's not a bad camera arm. It's a little bit bulkier, a little heavier. So this is the camera arm that I currently utilize. Utilize this bracket system. You have to be careful if you're not paying attention. It can make noise if you don't have this into that locked phase. Not a bad camera arm, looking for a little more length. So next year, I might go to the Lone Wolf Custom Gear camera arm and go that route for filming. So this camera arm, which is plastic, 3D printed, it just looked like it was a great idea, but it fell way short. If anything, this buckle system that came with it, actually I like. So I'll be saving this for something else. And I paid good money for this. You know, this was $85 from Etsy plus shipping and handling. I could have utilized that money towards that Lone Wolf Custom Gear camera arm. So this one fell way short. This one, 2 out of 10. It did fall way short of my expectations, especially the money that I paid for it. If I had to put a price on something like this for an entry-level camera arm, $20, $15, $20. But for 85 bucks, yeah, kind of wish I had that one back. I think you folks are going to get a kick out of this one. The ghillie suit. Now this ghillie suit, the company called Arcturus, did a lot of research online before I picked one up. I wanted to make sure something was bushy and, you know, not thin, and got great reviews, and this one did. And I'll be utilizing it in the future. I'm going to mention that to you right now. And one of the reasons here in Wisconsin, where I hunt, we had the emerald ash borer come through about 6 or 7 years ago, and it wiped out all of our ash trees, or most of our ash trees. With that being said, these ash trees are very unsafe to get into with a mobile system or even a hang-on. So I knew that I was going to have to be hunting on the ground. And if you looked at one of my past videos called Ghillie Suit and Tall Paul, this particular buck, Tall Paul, was bedded in one of these dead ash swamps. They're making great cover for deer now because of the buckthorn and the undergrowth that's coming up, and they're very hard to walk through because there's just sticks and dead trees everywhere. So I sat on the outside edge of it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Tall Paul did not bust me in that ghillie suit. If anything, it was the decoy, I think, that gave him away, and then eventually he got downwind of me and took off. So I did wear this a couple of times on the ground this year, and it is a nice product. So let me just pull this out and let's take a look at it real quick. So here is the ghillie suit. Kind of like a big raggy thing, actually. This is one of the sleeves. And this particular suit really does a great job as far as just hiding your silhouette. And that's really what you're looking to do, is break up that silhouette. Deer just naturally know what a human silhouette looks like with the arms and head, so on and so forth, being upright. And this really did a good job of that. The other thing from Arcturus is that they sell this green jute. So when I purchased this is in the dry grass color. I wanted a little more greenery in it. Even here in November and in December, in Wisconsin even, there is still greenery mixed in this dead brush. And this just helped to break it up a little bit more. This particular suit comes with the jacket. It also comes with the pants. And then it also comes with essentially a gun cover, if you want to call it that, that goes over rifle. If you want to put it over on top of a rifle. What I utilize that for was actually my camera stand. So when I'm sitting there and I have my video camera out, I would just wrap that around my camera bottom. And that really did a good job of covering that up. So that actually was kind of a nice little neat feature to have, especially when you're self-filming. The inside of it is clean. It's also camo, so that's kind of nice. So if there's any parts here that would maybe even come up just a little bit, you still have camo underneath. So it is a really nice suit for a ghillie suit, and I'm actually very glad I purchased this particular ghillie suit than some of the other ghillie suits I saw on there. Some cons with it though. I kind of wish it had just an inside pocket. You know, even if they would put something on the inside, just to put a call, whatever item it might be, that wouldn't be a bad little feature to have. Another con that you got to be careful with is with my release and my bow hand, this jute that would hang, you'd have to be careful. Sometimes you just move your hand around and you'd catch that jute a little bit. So if you reach for that bow and that buck is coming in, you just had to make sure that that release was out away from everything and then bring it up and over. The biggest con, which is also probably the biggest benefit, is that the headpiece here, when I had this on, that jute here likes to come over the face a lot, and I would be constantly trying to pull it back. It would also wrap around the side just a little bit, and I didn't care for that because I like to be able to see as far as I can see. And sometimes, you know, you'd be moving your head and all of a sudden that little jute would move a bit, and then you'd just kind of catch your attention. So I might fix that with just some bread ties, put some bread ties, pull them back a little bit. But for the most part, this thing is a pretty nice little product. It does have these ties on here for the hood, so you can pull that hood a little tighter if you would like. But you know what? For what I paid, I believe it was 70 bucks. And for what I got, I would say it met expectations, but did it go above expectations? I wouldn't say so. It was a good product, and yes, I would purchase it again, so I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Next up on the list is Pre-orbital gland. I have the Blackwidow branch butter gel, and I also have the Smokies Pre-orbital gland. Let's go over the Blackwidow gel first. This particular product, about half the price of the Smokies. Tried it out on separate mock scrapes from the Smokies. I'm gonna be honest with you, it did not seem to make a difference. When I put this particular product out, it did not up the amount of visits, and even after I put it out, it didn't have the same action or reaction that the Smokies did. It's almost like this didn't really matter. So I don't really want to give it a full judgment on it. I just tried it, like I said, this year, and I would have to say I would give this a 4 out of 10 currently. Next year I'm going to try it again, see if it makes a difference. But right now, 4 out of 10 for the branch butter gel. Smokies Pre-orbital gland. Now, this particular product did seem like it made a difference. One of the things I like about it is that it's an oil. And I don't know if you can tell, but it has the viscosity of oil. And when you think about it, and this is why I think bucks like to utilize particular types of vines, or in some people's cases that they utilize a rope. I always utilize vines. I do think vines are a little bit better. But if you look at a lot of the vines in a mock scrape, they're made of usually a very light absorbing bark, like on the grapevines. I've utilized apple branches with very good success, and cedar branches. And all of those are a lighter, softer wood. And when you think about it, when a buck does his pre-orbital gland deal on there and he gets that gland on that branch, it soaks into that wood and it holds it much more, and it's a little bit of a softer wood. And I've noticed when I put this oil on here, it seems like it soaks in right away. You can actually see it when it kind of drips down on the mock scrape, or on the, I should say, on the licking branch. It soaks in just a little bit more. So I do like that component to it. Now, after I utilized it, I did see bucks coming in and put it on video mode, and you'd be able to see them actually get that rack in there a little bit more and really rub into that branch more. And it did not scare any of the deer away. It seemed like the activity did elevate a little bit. It wasn't over the top at all, but I will definitely utilize the Smokies for next year. Now, the only thing is, the downfall somewhat is the price. It is more expensive. I want to say roughly 30 bucks. Don't quote me completely on that. I'll have that link down below. But it did seem to work. If it was cheaper, I think maybe more people would purchase it. But, you know, if you look at it, I did about 4 or 5 mock scrapes this fall with it. And you can see I only used not even a quarter of it. So this will last me a couple of years. And so I'll have it for next year. But rating, 8 out of 10. If it was maybe a little cheaper, the rating would be a little higher. And if it brought in bucks big time and they came in, you know, head over shoulders, maybe the rating would be a little bit higher. But once again, these are mock scrapes. You know, these aren't something that's going to pull bucks from all over like a hot dough would. But yeah, this stuff, big fan. Nosejammer. Well, these were on clearance at Fleet Farm, so I picked up a couple of cans, and I don't know, I tried them out a couple of spots. I didn't have really any deer at the couple of times, 2 times that I've tried it out, to know if it really made that much of a difference. To be honest with you, I would not utilize this in an area or vicinity that I was planning to come back to. I'm not a big fan of sitting in the same tree, but I will come back in the same vicinity. And this strong ice cream vanilla smell, I think it could maybe spook some of the bigger bucks, knowing that something isn't totally right, even though it jams their senses apparently. So this one I'm going to have to give an NC to, meaning not complete, or not a complete review. I don't want to give it a number yet, because like I said, I've only tried it out twice. And we'll see. I got another can left, and I believe there's some left in this particular can here. So with that being said, this one gets an NC, not complete. I haven't used scents in over 20 years, and I gave these a shot. Blackwidow Scrape Master, which is buck tarsal gland, and doe estrus, and then the Blackwidow doe estrus. And this is the northern version here for Wisconsin. And the Scrape Master originally purchased for mock scrapes. Did it make a difference? I didn't see any with this, essentially for the mock scrapes. The doe estrus, utilized it a couple of times, and that didn't really seem to make much of a difference either. However, the Scrape Master, when I placed it on my boots, which is once again the buck tarsal gland and doe estrus, and I utilized it during the rut, I did have 2 smaller bucks follow me. Matter of fact, I had a 6-pointer, and it wasn't really a bad 6-pointer, follow me right back to my pickup truck. I was putting my equipment away, and all of a sudden I heard a stick snap, took my headlamp that was on my hat, and there is a 6-pointer looking right at me. And he came exactly out of that area of the woods that I walked out of. And I'm assuming that he followed the Scrape Master on my boots back to the truck. So rating-wise, I don't think the Scrape Master worked like it should have, at least for the scrapes. And this is, like I said, tried for the first time this year. So I'd give this a 6 out of 10. And the doe estrus, 5 out of 10. Now, with that being said, I still have my archery tag open for late season bow. Bucks will chase does all the way up to January at least, sometimes even into January a bit. So I will still be utilizing these products. They didn't seem to scare any deer. You do have to be a little careful though. From my understanding is that sometimes these doe estrus products can spook does. But I'm going to give these a shot yet for the rest of the 2023 season. The next product, and I'm going to admit it's a favorite of mine now, is the Evercalm, and this is the calming scent. Had an issue earlier this year with a buck, and he was coming right at me, had him at 40 yards. I could have took him at 40. I'm like, well, why would I take him at 40 if he's going to keep coming? And the wind was actually in my face. His wind was blowing directly in my face. However, I was in this little bit of a bowl, if you want to call it that. But it must have been enough to have the wind swirl. That's the only thing I can think of. All of a sudden, he stopped at about 35 yards. He put his nose up. He bolted back up a hill a little bit. He stopped again then at 65 to 70 yards, and he started doing a little foot stomping. It's like he wanted to come to this particular area, but he knew something was up, stomped his foot a couple of times, and then he just took off. Threw a little milkweed up in the air. I noticed that it would go back away like it should, and then it would pause. It did a little stoppage, and then it went back again. So I'm guessing there was a little bit of wind swirl. So since that happened, I started utilizing Evercalm. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've had multiple deer now, does, small bucks, come downwind and not bust. The does, since I've started utilizing it, they have not even blown once at me. The buck, the gun buck that I got, if you look at my past video in regards to gun season, I had that particular buck was coming right at me. He stopped and he knew something was up at right around that 15-yard mark, and my wind was blowing directly in his face. I was not using Nosejammer at that time. All I had on was Evercalm, and then I was utilizing that Scrape Master from Blackwidow. Those two particular products were the only things that I had on. But my wind was blowing directly in his face. And I don't know, there's no explanation for it, except maybe the Evercalm. With that being said, I also picked up this little guy. This is also made by Evercalm. This is their stink stick. It essentially screws down below. It has a waxy substance in it, and then you just pull that down, and then it has the Evercalm calming component in there. And then when you're done, you just re-screw that up, and I just attach this to my backpack, and then it just hangs up by me. Now, this particular product is a little expensive. It's around $21, I believe, retail price for it. You don't need to use much of it, so I put just a little bit on the bottom of my boots, and then I also put a little bit on the tip of my boots towards the top, because you do walk by grass. so on and so forth. It does leave a little bit of a white wax after it dries. When I get to my spot, I'll put it a little bit on a tree here and there. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a product that I will be utilizing going forward. I'm going to give this a product rating of 9 out of 10. I have to admit, I have been impressed by Evercalm. I didn't think I would be, and however it works, it works. But so far, the results for me have been very good. Last review is the Lone Wolf 0.75 mesh seat tall post, which is essentially the 22-inch post. This particular stand is outstanding. Matter of fact, I sold my saddle. So I did some reviews, which I'll keep up yet, in regards to the best backpack for carrying the saddle, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to get into the details. That's for a different video. But I really like the idea of sitting back in a stand again. And when I saw this stand come out, and they made a few of the tweaks and a few of the changes to it, I'm like, this is the stand for me. How light it is to have that shelf is amazing. I really can't say anything bad about the particular stand. If there is one thing, is that compared to my Lone Wolf, original Lone Wolf hand climber, or the Novix Echo stand that I have, this particular stand does have a little bit more of a tingy sound to it. But that would be the only minor thing. But this particular stand, I would have to say, was my best purchase of 2023. Now, with that being said, price, yes, these are pricey. I did purchase this during that giveaway, the Oktoberfest giveaway, where you got a little backpack pouch and you got the sidekick, which I'm going to add on to here, see if I like it or not. But everything about this stand is awesome. 100% USA made, and this is my #1 unit going forward as far as mobile hunting goes. Rating, final rating would be a 9 out of 10. The only thing that's keeping it from a 10 out of 10 would be price, but even from that perspective, you know, if there's one of the items out of here that I would give a 10, possibly would be this. And you know, if you want a great product, you are going to have to pay for it, especially American made and well built. And the 0.75, that ratio of length, the width, to me was perfect. The 0.5 I think would have been too short, and the 1.0 I don't think was necessary. This gives me plenty of room. I wear normally a 12 size boot. In my lighter boots, the LaCrosse boots that I did the review earlier on, is 12, and then I use a size 13 in the Arctic Pros, and I had plenty of room on this particular stand. So with that being said, this was probably my best purchase of 2023. Well, folks, this was kind of fun going over these products that I utilized for the 2023 season. Next year, I'm going to do the same thing over again for 2024. One product that I'm looking at is the Lone Wolf Custom Gear camera arm, and there's a few other products that I've been kind of keeping an eye on. With that being said, though, I don't want you to think that products are everything. And that's one of the nice things that I can say, because I'm not sponsored by anybody. What's up here or between the ears, or essentially the determination and your positive attitude, is what gets those bucks in the back of trucks. But we still utilize products. They are a component of bow hunting, so I do like to talk about them now and then. Some of you know I still have a late season archery tag still open, and I am going to be giving it 100% right to the last minute of the last hour of the last day. And here in Wisconsin, that's January 7th. So if you'd like, please hit the like and subscribe button if you want to follow me along on my late season archery hunt. And then the next video that I have coming up here, I'm going to do a recap of the 2023 bow season prior to the gun season. And then I'm going to talk about my strategy and plans and how I plan on getting that big buck, hopefully, for the late archery season. So that'll be coming up here next. So until next time, Clint from Oak and Iron Outdoors.